Hey guys, so Jeremy here. I'm going to do the review like this because I can't raise, well, it's not healthy for me to raise my arms. But I'm on the island for a little while for recovery. But I did see Detective Pikachu yesterday, and at least to say it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's not a bad movie for sure. If anything, it's probably one of the better video game based movies in a long time, and that's saying a lot considering there's not really many out there, if at all. The visuals of this film were pretty darn good. Admittedly, the Mewtwo thing looked a little bit, it looked the most fake out of everything, oddly enough, which is odd considering they were able to make all the other animals, or sorry, the Pokemon in this look, if not realistic, they had a high level of detail. Like Pikachu's fur. At one point, he gets wet and his fur is soaked, and it looks like soaked fur. So Mewtwo is really the lowest part of the film. And then there was just the obvious, like the instant that Bill Nighy's introduced, is like, oh yeah, he's the bad guy. It's just like, oh hey, it's you. Aside from that, I did enjoy this film. I was actually quite surprised that I enjoyed Justice Smith because he was horrible in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, physically nauseating to see on screen. So to see him in this, it was a lot better. The cinematography in this, there's some good shots, but there's a lot of rack focus issues. Like a lot of them. There's a lot of times, like heck, it's even in the first 5 minutes of the film when Justice Smith is trying to catch the Cubone, and they look back at his friend, and he's like trying to give him advice, and you can see that he's out of focus. He's not entirely in focus. So that was kind of baffling how often that happened. But I would say the film was probably one of the most respectful in terms of its material. They knew what they were talking about. This wasn't a studio that's just like, oh yeah, we'll take this idea and totally do something that's completely not of the norm. They knew what they were talking about, and they actually did a pretty good job of it. The humor in this film is pretty good. Admittedly, Ryan Reynolds definitely adds a bit to Pikachu that if it had been done this way, the film would have been much less bearable to watch, as well as the actual whole idea of Ryan Reynolds makes sense actually in the end. There's a lot of exposition in this film. Like, there's parts where okay, we get this, but then the film's like, hey, we'll just take a few minutes to very rushedly explain everything that you already understand. The conclusion at the end of the film was kind of interesting. Admittedly, I was bored actually, which is surprising, but I will give it this. It did give me vibes of the first Pokemon movie, the first movie. I remember my dad taking my brother and I to see that in theaters. Poor dude. Again, he did the same for the Digimon movie, having absolutely no idea what the hell's going on. But I remember pretty much the only thing that they took from that movie is at the beginning with the whole Mewtwo thing. So I did enjoy the callbacks to certain things. They even did a callback to Home Alone of all movies. I did enjoy the humor of the film. I did enjoy the heart of the film. Admittedly, it's not exactly the best movie. It's a subpar movie for me, but and I'm not saying that because I'm not a fan of Pokemon. Like I was a fan. Like I kind of played the Pokemon card game. I definitely watched the show. I did. I envied anyone who had a Game Boy, but I was not on board. It fizzled out for me. And when Pokemon Go came out, I know it was great. That was kids were walking around and everything, but my God, that game was boring. I got bored of it very quickly. But in the end, Detective Pikachu is definitely something that fans of Pokemon, I believe, will enjoy. Kids is definitely will enjoy this film. It's an enjoyable film in its sense, but I don't know if I'll ever see. I know I won't ever go out of my way to watch this movie again. But it's still a commendable movie and it's still well put together. So in the end, I'm going to give Detective Pikachu a 4 out of 7. It's a decent film, and again, it's one of the better video game based films, so that's definitely something for it. And it was great to see that the director and the writers had respect, and they actually knew what the hell they were talking about. So that's always a good thing. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys next time.